What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and CreateSpace. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Some People Have to Work Harder. Um, Everybody in some wants to be successful, right? And some people can get there easier than others. And for those who can't get there easy, you can either get bitter or better because you have to work harder. And for some people, if you keep comparing yourselves to others in a bitter sense, you can actually be better than somebody, but your bitterness sabotages your work when you have to work harder, so you won't be as successful as you can be, you know. And people don't think about how the ups and downs of life and the ups and downs of success. Like some people don't work as hard and they're successful really fast. And that quick meteoric rise comes with a quick meteoric drop, right? But if you didn't get there, if it wasn't a quick fix for you to get there, then and you worked harder, you have a reputation to stand on. You have your own work and effort to stand on, so people actually know what you're about. So, you may be able to you may have longevity, you know. Y'all hear me a lot of times listen to a lot of old school music, and this is part of what I mean. Like some artists had to make hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Like the Isley Brothers been doing this for 50 years. But there were some acts that came out with one great album and they outshine the Isley Brothers for decades, right? One great song that's a classic, but they got 100 of them now. So who can perform the rest of their lives? The Isley Brothers can, because they worked harder. That means they were better. They have more things, that they got more work that connects with people than anybody else, right? And some of us forget stuff like that. Like, some people, they feel like have a God-given talent. I believe we all have a God-given gift, but I believe we have to work at it to cultivate it. Some people are born with more gifts than others, but when I was younger, I used to have coaches that said, you can have more talent than somebody, but if they outwork you, they're going to beat you every time. And for people who have to work harder and you're not bitter and you always constantly work on getting better, you start to see that play out in life, because people sometimes who don't work as hard to be successful, they're lazier. They're very much so lazier. So what winds up happening is, they don't last as long. They have a quick burnout. They're not used to adversity. They're not used to struggle. They're not used to not having all the attention. And sometimes the people that are used to just grinding it out, they are the more successful people in the long run. Because at the end of the day, they know how to work harder. Because, when you have to work harder than other people, that means you have to get up day after day after day after day after day, and you have to find something to improve on. And I think sometimes people who start to understand that you have to work harder than other people, if you get that and you decide to become better, you realize you become great. You become extraordinary, because what you really want is to have a person who has a lot of talents, but truth be told, they have a work ethic that matches that. That is the perfect ideal recipe for greatness. But you could be just as great if you just bust your ass and outwork everybody. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Um, so one of the things that I would stress to people, you know, take into consideration, some people want to have a better body, and some people are born with a better physique than others, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't get a great physique. That just means that you're going to have to work harder. But if you work harder to get it, once you get it, you'll be able to maintain it. See, some people who just are born with it, sometimes they let it go to waste. That's what they do. They get so accustomed to, I don't have to do much, that what they start doing is slacking off. And then over time, the thing that physique that they were born with crumbles because they don't do much with it. And the same thing, with and that's how people age better. Some people, that's how beauty fades, because you're so accustomed to being beautiful that you don't work at maintaining it. And then when your time comes, you're gonna fall off, and that's on you, right? Some people want to be successful, like I said earlier, and another person would want that same success, so they have to work harder, and they have to learn multiple ways to be successful, and they have to go at it day in and day out, and then they have to be better and better, and they have to master a lot of different things just to get to that level of success as a person that they feel may have got there easier. But by the time they get to the same spot, they can grow exponentially, while the other person who's accustomed to success without the labor is probably stuck on the same level. And that's usually a recipe for disaster for most people, because the only thing constant in life is change. And people who work harder or are able to adapt and change. People who are willing to outwork the next person are willing to realize how far behind they are and how far ahead they need to get to stay where they're at. And some of us don't really recognize that to a degree, because you want the success, you want what other people have, and you got to remember, like, easy come, easy go. Like, personally, I don't have a problem with working harder, because if I work harder than people, at the end of the day, life is going to pay you back. I rather have to work harder and master multiple things, or be able to do multiple things, than be successful in one thing and wind up being a one-trick pony. Because I've seen people do this, where they were imprisoned by their success because they didn't have to work as hard as the people who were less successful as them at first. So now they're, hanging their hat on a old reputation that they wish they could add something to, but they can't, because they don't have the how can I say this? They didn't cultivate the skills to get a new audience, right? To reach another mountaintop. And also, you have to work harder. Some people have to work harder, and a good thing about that is you can use people who are more successful than you to set the bar for you to pass. And you can be successful in multiple things, because a person who might have easy success in one thing, they can, okay, this is my this is the mark, this is the rabbit, this is who's the pace car of this whole thing, right? So once you catch them, you know you've got somewhere. And last but not least, once you do it once, you can take that confidence and do it again in something completely different. See, all you have to actually have is the will to outwork people for success, and you will always be ahead of the curve. But what I've learned that you have to do is you have to be willing to accept that you have to work harder. So we out. Peace.